Hello everyone. Welcome to Arctic Highlights with Alexandra Middleton. And we go today again through main events, publications, and research related to the Arctic. All of this is published on my LinkedIn newsletter, where you can subscribe and receive these updates directly to your email, or you can read them on LinkedIn. So last week, there were major events and major news. For instance, there is again indication of growing cooperation between Russia and China in the Arctic. And in April, just after their big Arctic forum that was taking place in Murmansk, there was a big delegation of Chinese officials that discussed scientific cooperation, tourism, trade, increased the logistics ties with Russia, and also technological exchanges. What we see is that tourism is also gaining a lot of attention and a lot of demand. In 2024 alone, there were 26,000 Chinese tourists that visited Murmansk region. And that's a really big number, especially taking the capacity of hospitality industry in the region. So there's a lot of need for development, and let's see where this cooperation is going to take these two countries in the future. Then we also see increased rush for Arctic resources, especially in the Russian part of the Arctic. There were 64 licenses auctioned and 112 planned. And these are the major sites for rare earth minerals and other critical minerals that are in Murmansk and in Yakutia. There are deposits of tin and tungsten, and also some new sites for oil and gas exploration planned. So all these resources, for instance, in Krasnoyarsk, are expected to be started mined by 2027. There are also plans to mine diamonds, gold, copper, and chrome ore. But at the same time, we always have to keep in mind what type of environmental and social standards are implemented while mining is taking place in the Arctic. So there are a lot of questions to be answered about environmental and social impact of such operations. I'm also really happy to share with you one of the newest publications together with my co-authors. We had a paper published in Polar Geography, which is a journal that deals with multidisciplinary Arctic issues. And this one is about Arctic smart cities. We studied smart cities in the Arctic in the context of justice, whether their smart initiatives are actually just for the population or whether they make some groups of citizens excluded. So I won't go through their whole study, but what we did comparative analysis of smart city initiatives in the Arctic and identified critical gaps. For instance, if we look at the treatment of indigenous voices, we see that there is a lack of inclusion in smart city initiatives, and digital justice is not often fully embedded in planning. And while smart initiatives may look smart on paper, they are quite disconnected from Arctic realities. And what we call in this paper for is more focused and context-sensitive smart city policies and initiatives that also take into consideration indigenous voices. What I also covered in the latest Arctic highlights is the US Arctic expertise challenges that we've been observing for the last few months. For instance, in March, there was an executive order that impacted Wilson Center that put 130 staff on leave. And especially it's challenging for Polar Institute, whose operations were halted, and that's a major loss for Arctic scholarship. Then there was also termination of funding for a DAC Arctic Center of Excellence, because this will impact the resilience of Arctic research in the US. We also see a trend where US experts are barred from Arctic conferences. For example, Arctic conference, Arctic Spirit, that is going to take place in Rovaniemi in the beginning of May, won't have some representatives from the US as initially planned. And finally, I'm happy to announce that together with my co-author, co-editor, Monoji Das, we have issued a call for chapters that is called New Arctic Geopolitics. And there we are looking for contributions that deal with BRICS Plus regarding their policies and investments in the Arctic. And with that, I wish you wonderful rest of the week. Have nice Easter break, and we see next week again. Please subscribe and share my channel so more people know about the Arctic and the awareness of Arctic issues increases worldwide.